Hi everybody, Robin here at Toadstool Tarot, and anybody who knows me knows that I collect tarot decks, and I probably have around 180, and I'm trying to keep it to that level, and so I've been weeding stuff out lately and then making room for some new things. Also, you should know I'm a little bit obsessed with Rider-Waite-Smith and variations of Pixie's original art. I like sort of collecting different variations, color variations of the deck and different qualities of line work and so on. So today I have two for you. One of them I got a couple weeks ago and I've shuffled and I've used it. So I don't want to reorganize it because, well, both the decks are plastic decks, and they're very slippery, and they're very hard for me to shuffle and get really mixed in. So I got the other one today, and it's in order, but the first one has been mixed. So I'm going to show them both. You might also know I often do my walkthroughs from a little lap tray. And if you have a stack of plastic cards on your lap tray, it's not a perfectly flat surface as you move around, and so they tend to like slide off the deck and makes it really hard to show. So I'm not going to show them I was going to do them side by side, but I decided I'm just going to go through them quickly, one after the other. So the first one, I got them both on Etsy, and at least one of them's out of stock. I don't know if it's going to be reappeared or not. This one came from the UK, and I think it was called the Black and Full Color Tarot. It's the first deck I've seen that actually comes in a plastic tuck box, which is weird. I should also say that these plastic decks, I have not encountered one yet that has a pleasing smell to it. They both have really sort of a horrible, unpleasant odor, a chemical smell to them. And this one's probably the worst I've ever smelled. But anyway, I thought you should see there is, as with many plastic decks, there's sort of a texture or highlight to the imagery. And I didn't particularly want a plastic deck, but what I wanted was this variation of the color RWS, Pixie's art, on a black or night sky type background. And this is what I got. So let's begin. I think if I hold them with one hand and show with the other, then I will get over that slip-slidey problem of them shifting around, but we'll see how it goes. So it's a regular size deck. This is the back design, and you can see how the light catches it. These are not holes in the card, although they look like that. They are areas of the surface that are not textured, that reflect light, and there are other areas where the ink kind of holds the light. And the feel of it, some of it feels a little bit not really embossed, but it's sort of like where the ink appears, and the rest of it feels almost like linen, but it's sort of like a plasticky linen. Okay, so let's go. So those are the backs, black and white. I should show you, just for the hell of it, both backs to compare, because the design is kind of similar on the backs. It's kind of like a six-pointed star, sort of. So, actually, the black and white one isn't. It's sort of like three pyramids, but It's interesting. Anyway, so yeah, let me grab them. They're already sliding. So I don't know if you can see. Can you see the black background has a kind of a checkered or diamond sort of design to it? And it looks like they tried to use Pixie's font, but they put it on a bar that slightly obscures the bottom of the image. I think it's workable because the bulk of it is there. They do have the numbers at the top. And I won't linger too long. These, it's pretty much the same pattern with this one all over, so I won't linger too much here because anybody who's familiar with RWS is familiar with these images, and you can see pretty well, I think, the line work and the color on these. Some areas of the color aren't as bright as I might want. They're a little bit, I don't know if the tones or shades have been slightly, what's the word I'm looking for? I think you can see it. Not exactly muddied or muddled, but they are bright. They just don't quite have some of the tonal intensity of other decks that I have. Boy, I got to tell you, this odor is overpowering. They're really flexible because they are plastic and they're regular tarot size. I wonder if what I've decided to do is not store them in the plastic tuck box. I'm going to keep them in a plastic drawstring bag because it's just a little easier for me to access than a tuck box. I'm kind of wondering, though, if I should leave them out and let them air in order to help that smell dissipate. These have a really funny texture, too. Like, some of the areas are sort of glossy. Like, you can see the body here in the star is glossy. And when you feel it, it has a funny, almost rose petal feel to it. Whereas the texture of the rest of it feels more like linen. Very strange. I'm curious as to what you think about this sort of flip on the sunshiny backgrounds being black as night. I kind of like the idea, and I haven't seen a deck like this before. Although I could do without the texturing and the plastic. If this was just on regular cardstock, I'd be just as happy, if not happier. But this gives the deck almost a new context, setting it at night. And tarot has always been for me a dark, mysterious sort of thing, and this kind of lends to it that notion of dark mystery or night dreams. And the figures aren't in the dark. The backgrounds are, but the figures aren't. They're perfectly well lit. I'll be curious to see how these look laid out in a spread. I think it will be nice. See, even when there are clouds in the sky, they're perfectly visible. Now, I do have other decks with different backgrounds. Of course, most people know the CS Tarot, which has a sort of a chipped paint or paint peeling kind of textured backgrounds. And also, I think he did a Pam's old one that is all sort of daylight, no dark cards, skies in the background. And these have a sort of a soft drawn feel to the lines that's, I want to say it's almost more like the Mary Hanson Roberts kind of colored pencil look. Or the Radiant Rider-Waite. Oh, this is interesting. See here, we've got a dark edge to the figure against a dark background, but what they've done is they've changed the texture for contrast, and there's a very faint hint of an outline or halo around the figure so you can see it. Oh, see, there's my first casualty. Pardon me. Ugh. Slip sliding away. I think I kind of like the fact that the background has a different texture from the foreground. And I'm not that crazy about the backs, but it's all right. So, I don't know. Hang on just a second if I can find on my phone the name of the vendor that I got this from, because even though it said sold out, maybe it wasn't on my phone. Is it on my laptop? I'll have to look it up later. Just go looking around on Etsy for Rider-Waite Smith. You'll probably run across it if there is a shop there with a number of variations of different colorways. Can't remember the name. It's something like Dark Coven or something. It's from the UK. You never quite know what you're going to get on Etsy, and I kind of find that refreshing. I actually like browsing on Etsy because they're mostly indie decks, not mass market, and not things you can readily find elsewhere. Some of the creators are on Etsy and then also have their own websites. And I think a few of them I've been through start sales on Etsy just to sort of tease and see if they get a bite of interest. And then once they sell out, they just figure word of mouth will lead people to their website. Okay, so that is deck number 1. Blandly, the box just says tarot deck. And again, as I said, it's like it's a plastic deck and it's a plastic tuck box. Which the only other plastic tuck box I have is the Everyday Tarot, which comes in a little book with a tuck box kind of glued onto it, and it's like really kind of hard to get the top lid open and close. Anyway, so there you have that black and full color tarot. They don't, a lot of times they'll list multiple titles on these things, and you can't really, they're really difficult to find. For instance, this one comes in a really great magnetic flip box. You've seen these before, I'm sure. And this one was called the Green Gold Tarot on Etsy. But here it's labeled the Gold Foil Tarot. And if you look for Gold Foil Tarot, you'll see probably half a dozen variations of this. This one came, I have another one that has similar kind of facets to the textures. And the two that I have, I think, are sort of based on the, well, this is based on a Mary Hanson Roberts image. That's just an info card in there. And then here's another info card. I don't know which deck that's based on. And I just sort of get a kick out of, oh, also I should have mentioned, because I left it in the box, both of them come with the same little RWS or little white book. Now this one has little thumbnails and color of the images, but these are, I think they're the same image in both of them, and not specific to the deck, but more specific to Pixie's original colors and illustrations. And they have like a paragraph of keywords or phrases for each card, including uprights and reversals. So there you go. I don't use them. So, like I said, I have been using this deck, so I had a friend who shuffle them thoroughly for me, and I just sort of overhand them, which either way, they did riffle shuffle well, but I can't do it. They definitely would be flying everywhere. Now, it's funny that it's called the green gold because it looks more blue to me, but it's kind of a bluish green. And these are really kind of hard to film because of the way that they catch the light. And they're kind of best used in lower light because they do catch a lot of light. I do like the backs on these. They're a little bit hard to see, but it's got a nice face on the moon there. I tried to angle my light so it's not too hard to see them, but I do have to kind of wiggle the cards a little bit. So in both of these cases, I don't know how much I will use these decks. They're more just kind of fun, gimmicky additions to my array of RWS decks. My lighting here at home's not good, so I haven't really been able to use them very well here. I have taken them to a cafe, and in the daylight in the cafe, they're more legible in natural daylight than artificial light. The drawings in this don't have any shading. They're kind of simplified in terms of outline and flat areas. Well, actually, there are some areas that have shading, but areas of flesh don't seem to. They're more like flat distribution of color. And you can see even the trees in the background. It's just an outlined area filled in with a flat expanse of gold. I don't think these are from the same shop. The other one, before I went on, I did check the website and it said sold out. And but they did have some other options, like they have a pink version with the sky backgrounds in pink. If you're a pink person and like plastic, you might like that. I actually have had this deck aside for a couple of weeks and wasn't sure whether I wanted to share it or not, because like I said, it's, you've seen all the images before, and it's kind of difficult to photograph. And they're very slippery. I think these all started with, I want to say, attributed to this woman in Asia named Ivy Feng. And I'm not really sure what the deal is with these many decks that have come after, because I think copyright laws are like different over there, and I don't know if these all come out of the same production house factory or what, but after her 4-deck series appeared, I forget what they were called. She did 4 color variations, and they weren't all plastic, I don't think, but the one that I got was, I think, the Neo Rider they were called. And it was 4 color variations. And the first one I got was called the Shadow. deck. And it was extremely slippery like these other two are. And then I got a second one on Amazon that had textured backgrounds, like the patterns on the back. Some were checkered, some were sun rays, some were waves, and I really liked that. And they also, I believe they had a little border that was kind of a rough texture, which made them less slippery and easier to use. So of the four that I have, I think those are kind of my favorites. Although, you know, all these facets and colors and flashing lights can be a little bit distracting. It's like glitz and glamour can sometimes be fun and sometimes really distract you from the nature of the imagery there. In fact, they can kind of become hypnotic. I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to do readings for someone with a deck like this, because they might be more apt to be mesmerized by reflections of light in the card than pay attention to the reading. Look at that. They are kind of stunning in their own way. And I think these are just sort of a hint at where technology might be going in with regards to card production capabilities. We have different kinds of card substances, different kinds of, you have holographic images, you have these, I don't know if you'd call this holographic, but they're just three-dimensional mirage kind of things where the images catch light in a different way, and then you've got cards in unusual shapes and sizes. I can't imagine a plastic deck like this in a mini size. I think that would be really hard to shuffle, and they'd be really jumping every which direction. Actually, though, my own Lenormand deck that I designed, I got in a plastic version, and that one glides but is not overly slippery. So it can be done. And it's funny that these are so slippery because of the facets they have in them and the textures. You wouldn't think they would be. So anyway, there's that deck. So it's 28 minutes and change, and I've showed you both decks, the green gold tarot and the black and full color tarot. Both found on Etsy. I don't know if either are still there. This is kind of interesting, actually. This black and full color when the edges of the cards are white. And I don't know how, if you can edge. For people who like to edge their cards, I don't know how edging on plastic works. On the green gold one, the edges are black, which I do like. So there's no need for any kind of edging there. I don't edge my cards anyway, but just for those who want to know. So thanks for joining me and having a little look at those, and I hope to be back again soon. Have a great week. Have a great month. Bye.